seasonal allergies. All right, we're gonna get started. Hi everybody, welcome to Take a Break with Jake. I'm Jake, and I'm here today at our giraffe habitat. We're actually up on the berm at the back of the habitat. So across these beautiful giraffe in the big yard, that's where the guests typically get to come and see the giraffe. We're back here in the back, and I'm here with my pal MJ, my former coworker who now is an amazing hoofstock keeper. And she is going to tell us all about these wonderful giraffes that call the Nashville Zoo home. Hi, MJ.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm so great. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about our two friends here?
Yes, of course. So our tallest friends here at the park, this of course here is Congo. He is 16 years old and about 17 feet tall. Came to us from the LA Zoo. Over here is this little lady. This is Miss Nasha. Nasha is 6 years old and came to us from Cincinnati Zoo. They are the only two we have, and they are definitely always around each other, love to spend all their time together, and have a really solid relationship.
That's so sweet. And I know they have a good relationship with you and the other keepers here at the zoo. As soon as we started walking back towards the habitat, the giraffe both came over and were like, MJ, hi. Well, they didn't say that, but it seemed like they were saying that,
It did
right?
seem like it.
Right. Okay, MJ, my biggest question for them, like literally biggest, is how much do they weigh?
Ooh, that's a very good question. So if you see our rhinos across the way, they're like 5,000 pounds, which seems like a lot.
Yeah.
He's only about 2,500 pounds. And
Get
she's
out.
about 1,700 pounds. So you would think that how massive they are, they'd be a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
Not at all. They're a little bit lighter than we think.
That's so crazy. And you said he's like 17 feet tall, correct?
Yes.
So he's very tall. We're standing up here on what I would assume is about, I don't know, let's say 11 feet of rock work. And then we're just barely at eye level here, which is really kind of cool. I mean, I'm more at eye level than others because I'm tall. But, oh, Congo's like, no thank you. Jake is here. I don't want this sweet potato. MJ was just telling me that Congo really likes women, but he doesn't always love men. So he's like, not sure about me today. But you can see that giant tongue he sticks out to start eating things.
Which he did lick you with before our broadcast.
With the tongue, yeah. So that was exciting. And MJ was also giving us this cool little scoop on how big the giraffe tongue is. Can you share that with everybody, MJ?
Oh my gosh, yes. So a rule of thumb, or a rule of tongue as I like to call it, is for every foot in height is every inch in tongue. So like I said, he's about 17 feet tall. That tongue of his is probably about 17 inches. Kind of on average, a giraffe tongue can get up to about 18 inches long.
Insane.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Did you notice what color it is?
Yeah, blue, like almost like your vest here, yes?
Yes.
Why is a giraffe's tongue blue?
Oh, okay, well buckle up. This is probably one of the coolest facts about these guys. These guys only sleep for 2 hours a day. That's
Wow.
it. They can sleep standing up or laying down, and they only take naps in like 5-minute intervals. The rest of all that time is spent purely eating. Since they eat for the majority of their life, their tongue is that color as a natural sunscreen.
Oh my gosh, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So giraffe are so tall, and that must mean, MJ, that they can reach leaves off of trees that other animals can't reach, correct?
Yes.
And that's kind of what makes up the bulk of their diet in the wild, correct? Is leaves and like vegetation, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feed them in human care then to kind of replicate that diet?
Yeah, so today what we're giving him is we just have carrots and sweet potato.
Okay.
And then these are their absolute favorite treats, which actually come from this nice, lovely looking pointy tree. These are called honey locust pods.
Okay.
Their favorite tree out in the wild is called the acacia tree, which is also a very thorny tree. That tongue is very thick of theirs. They have a nice thick coated saliva that helps to protect them from that. Here we actually, what we consider a browser. So they eat, all of their diet comes from the leaves, from bushes and from trees. So out in the wild, that's gonna be their main diet. Here with us, we have a grain specifically formulated for browsers.
Okay.
On top of that, he gets about 16 pounds of grain a day. She gets about 14 to 13.
Wow.
Yeah. On top of that, they get lettuce, sweet potato, carrots, and they get 4 browse feedings a day.
Okay. So browse is basically like leaves and branches and twigs and sticks. And MJ, you have some over here. What is this?
This is hackberry. How exciting is that?
So we grow all kinds
Nasha's like, I hear you.
We could probably give it to him.
We grow all kinds of trees all around our property, and the hoofstock team, which MJ is a part of, they spend a large portion of their days going out and acquiring different browse for our browse-eating animals, like the giraffe. And then, of course, like a branch like this, which is fairly small, I guess, it's probably decimated in seconds. They just go to town, right, MJ?
Oh, I can guarantee you by the time this video is over, she'll probably eat this in 5 minutes.
She says, thank you, goodbye.
She is so ready.
Oh my God, they are always ready for browse.
That's so cute. Now, these are Masai giraffes, right? How many species of giraffe exist in the wild today?
So there are 4. There are 4 species. Masai is one of the 4. The best way to tell if you're looking at a Masai, Nasha's the perfect example. If you look at her spots, you'll notice they have like an oak leaf pattern. That's going to be the biggest kind of indicator based off of their body and whatnot that that's a Masai.
Okay, gotcha. There's such different colors too, which is fascinating to me. There's like a lot of color difference even within the species.
Yeah, and there's actually a reason for it.
Okay.
He's a male, so the more testosterone they produce, the darker they get. So what's really cool is if you look at pictures from when we first got him when he was way younger, he was almost the color of Nasha.
That's so cool.
Okay, yes, I have noticed that because part of my job is like labeling photos in our library, and I'll go back to when he was much younger and I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is magical to watch giraffe like move more than just like a walk. They just like glide through the air somehow, and I don't know how.
I like to say that they frolic.
Yeah.
Like they're really good. See, she's literally frolicking.
This is incredible.
She hasn't had this many people around in a hot minute, so she's very excited for people.
MJ was mentioning the giraffe really like people.
Yeah.
And guests are always kind of asking us like, how are the animals doing during the quarantine period while no one's at the zoo? A lot of the animals are doing just fine. They're like hanging out, doing their thing. The giraffe really like having people around, MJ was sharing. So anytime anybody is like walking over where the public would normally be, the giraffe will go over there and check them out. And definitely they're getting a lot more TLC from their keepers here because we have time to do it now, right?
Oh my gosh,
a lot of time for training and working around the animals and making sure that they get that attention that they so desperately love. So definitely once we are able to open back up, hopefully sometime in June, we kind of are going along with the mayor's multi-step plan, and we're in phase 3 of that. So we're kind of at the mercy of when we're able or allowed to reopen. But as soon as we're able to do that, I would strongly recommend coming up and seeing the giraffe because MJ was saying this is going to be a great time to come see them. They're all going to be right up at the fence waiting to see their visitors.
They're adoring fans.
Yeah, they're adoring fans.
I did get a question, Jake, earlier in the broadcast, and for those of you tuning in, we're going to get to your questions at the end, but I did want to go ahead and address this one now. Someone was asking, do we have a feeding opportunity for giraffes? And we normally do for backstage pass tours. It's not like something that every single guest can do, but if you choose to go on a backstage pass tour, you can. However, we probably are not going to be able to offer those for a while due to the social distancing protocols. So the answer is yes and no.
Yeah, that's a great answer, Kelsey.
It was not very definitive, but I tried.
I think not much is definitive in these times, right?
You're
I
right.
think that's totally accurate.
Yeah, like it's just chaos. Everything's chaos all the time. You can count on that. That's for sure. MJ, you were mentioning earlier the locust pods are like their favorite thing to eat, which implies that you guys use those locust pods for training, right? Because that's like their go-to thing. What kind of training can you guys do with the giraffes?
Very good question. So we're doing, of course, we do basic like target training. That's when we'll have something pretty much looks like a little mini buoy on the end of a stick, and we'll do that, and they'll follow their nose to it. So we do a lot of target training. The biggest thing with hoof stock is hoof care.
Of course.
So we do a ton of hoof care with these guys. He's doing really well. We actually just modified our GRD, which is our giraffe restraint device, which is what we use to do all of our training inside the barn. They walk through it every day, so it's a very nice, calm area, and they're very positive about it. So he does footwork. We'll actually pick up his feet, put them on a block, and we'll have vet staff come in, take a look at what we got going on in there. She's only 6, so we're working on doing ultrasounding her for potential pregnancies. Right now we're working on palpation, so she's getting used to our keepers touching her underbelly and whatnot.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
Way cool. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, we've talked like kind of about the giraffe here at the zoo and in human care. Let's talk about giraffes in the wild. There are 4 species, but I think they're going through what's called a silent extinction. Like, people don't really know because there are a ton of giraffes in human care here in the US and in other countries around the world. So people aren't really aware of this, but giraffe populations have declined by about 40% since 1995. So MJ, can you tell us a little bit about the threats that giraffes face in the wild?
Yeah, so in the wild total, there's about 111,000 giraffes. That's encompassing all 4 species. Masai in general tend to have about 35 to 40,000 left in the wild, and that's going to be just this species alone. Their biggest threats are actually going to be a couple different things. They're really massive, so they have a lot of meat. So they do make a pretty good meal. They can feed almost a whole village, so definitely bushmeat is a big thing. So of course poachers and whatnot. Of course, as you can see, their pelts are really cool as well. So they're hunted for bushmeat and for pelts. And then the biggest thing is just habitat loss. There's just not really a wild that you can call anymore. And so these guys actually, they'll walk all over the African savanna purely because they're looking for food.
Yeah, that's fair. When you are 1,700 to 2,500 pounds, you need to eat a lot, especially if most of what you're eating is leaves. So you have to be chowing down all day long, like you mentioned. And that means you're covering a lot of ground too.
Yes.
So the Nashville Zoo does a lot to work with different conservation organizations all around the world, but the particular one that we participate in is the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. We actually send funding their way every year to help out with their conservation efforts. And they do all kinds of things, from educating local folks about the cultural impact that giraffes have for people coming from out of the state or out of the country or even out of the continent. And they also spend a lot of money and funding towards learning about the cultural impacts the giraffe have on the people in the giraffe's native range, because conservation work, especially with megafauna, so large animals like giraffe, really relies heavily on people in their native range helping and wanting to help and make a difference as well. And we also have to worry about people in animals' native ranges having the resources they need to survive, because people are just as kind of hurt or harmed by different processes as animals are. So the Giraffe Conservation Foundation is a really great organization that seeks to help humans and giraffes coexist well over in Africa, which is pretty spectacular. Yeah. One thing that I like to kind of talk about with a lot of larger animals like giraffe, we've talked about it a little bit before on these programs, is the necessity for wildlife corridors, which are areas of space in between large protected areas of land that really allow megafauna like giraffe or bears or wolves or any other kind of large animal move from place to place, because as humans all around the world start growing in population and moving out and starting new cities and towns and everything, we're taking up wildlife space. So it's not about like humans are bad or animals are bad, it's about how can we coexist together and have everybody be happy, because that's what we're all about. So anyway, that's the long and the short of giraffe conservation, right? Mostly long-winded.
Could not have said it better.
That's very generous. Hi. Congo has the warmest breath that I've ever felt. It's so incredible. Now, MJ, one of my favorite facts about giraffes is that they actually have just 7 cervical vertebrae. So they have the same number of bones in our neck as in their necks as we do, which is kind of crazy. They're just much larger.
Yes.
But you were telling me your favorite thing about giraffe, like your favorite fun fact. So kind of share that with everybody today.
Okay, it's a surprising one. If you've come to my giraffe chats in the past, you definitely know, because I get everyone involved, because it's a fun guessing game. But Jake, do you know the main predator of a giraffe?
I do now because you told me. But previously I would have said like maybe a lion like, you know, like thinking like a pride of lions, or a pack of painted dogs, like maybe they would hunt giraffe.
Oh, for sure.
But both of those seem kind of crazy because they're still so small.
Yeah.
Tell me what the main predator of giraffe is.
Okay, everyone, like, hold on to your socks. This is pretty crazy. So you would normally think, as Jake said, like a lion, painted dog, some sort of felid or canid. One single kick from a giraffe completely can shatter a skull. So they're kind of like, I don't really want to go for that. Nile crocodiles can grow up to about 20 feet and 2,000 pounds, which is totally big enough. When these guys go down for a drink of water, they're very unstable. And so that's the perfect time for that Nile crocodile to come up out of the water and kind of drag them in. Crocs can hold their breath for like 2 hours. So they have all the patience in the world to wait them out.
That's so long.
What?
Isn't that incredible? Like terrifying, A.
Amazing.
And also amazing, B. Yeah. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, giraffes are just so fun.
Oh.
He's like following you. He's like, Kelsey, where are the snacks? What do you have?
Also, where's my close-up?
Okay, Kelsey, I think we can start taking some more questions if you have some.
I have quite a few. Let's see. Let's start at the top, shall we?
Was that so tasty?
Oh my.
She's peeing over here.
Hold on. Let's get in on that.
It's like Nat Geo Live. You know, you gotta like point at the action.
Look at that puddle.
Oh.
And she's still ruminating. Look at her chewing that cud. Get it, girl?
All right. I couldn't make it to the top, but Cecilia asked, what are the two horns or knots on their heads for?
Right
Let me see if I can get you a good
MJ,
shot.
Oh, yeah, they're actually really cool. So it's not a horn or an antler. It is just called an ossicone, which is just ossified bone. So when you're born, kind of like your kneecaps, they're not super formed, and that's why you can't start walking. When they're born, they're just flat on their head. It looks like a funky little toupee. And then after they start getting older, the bones get harder and they start shooting up. And this is about as tall as they get.
And what do they use those for?
Females, not too much. They'll scratch them on trees if they got an itch. Males are definitely the ones we'll use if they're fighting for territory or fighting for females. They'll definitely use that kind of as a advantage in defense against other males.
Interesting question from Ashley. Ashley's wondering, what sounds do giraffes make?
Not a ton. They're very, very quiet. The only thing I've ever heard them do is like a grunt. And that's usually if he gets a good sniff. So he likes to smell his peppers.
We've heard a lot of, breathy sounds while we've been up here.
That's about the whole sound they make. They're not very vocal.
Stephanie is asking, where do they go to sleep?
Oh, they actually go right behind us here is our big, this of course is our rhino barn, and then right next door is the giraffe barn. It's about a 20-foot tall ceiling, no, 30-foot tall ceiling. So they have tons of headspace in there. They have 3 ginormous stalls as well as a birthing stall. So they have a lot of space in there. And it's also heated and air conditioned depending on time of the year.
Life of luxury for these guys, right? Let's see. I'm seeing a lot of questions about when are we going to open, and I wish I could tell you guys, but we don't know yet. We are in phase 3 of the mayor's plan to reopen Nashville. So that is not a date-driven situation. It's a data-driven. So yeah, we don't know, but hopefully soon. Let's see. Are there any plans for more giraffes in the future?
Yes. So a group of giraffes is called a tower. We are hoping to improve our tower. That kind of just relies on SSP, which is Species Survival Plan. So we are constantly getting recs and trying to figure out what, as far as breeding goes, matches up genetically with the 2 that we currently have. So we are hoping to get more. That is definitely the plan.
Amazing. Let's see, I'm gonna scroll back down. Let's see. I saw a couple questions, most recently from Betty. Betty's wondering, how long did these guys live?
Oh, that's a very good question. The average lifespan for these noodle necks is typically around 15 to 20 years of age.
Okay, so pretty old, especially for an animal their size, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. AJ's wondering, and I think you mentioned this earlier, but let's repeat it for him. Why are their tongues blue, black, purple?
Yeah, so they spend the majority of their time feeding, and since they're in Africa, a lot of sunlight, pretty much 24/7. So it's actually dark and purple is kind of a natural sunscreen.
That's really interesting because we talk a lot about different species and their natural sunscreen, like how the rhinos will put mud on themselves as sunscreen. So sun protection is important, people.
Yes. Seriously, especially in Africa.
Okay. Another question about sleep. Ashley's wondering, do they stand up or lay down when they sleep?
So they can do either. It's dependent on the giraffe. Nasha will do both. She will more likely stand up, but she will lay down occasionally, probably once overnight for about 5 or 10 minutes. He does not really like to lay down. He's big, he's old, he's like, nah, I'm good, I'll stand. So for the most part, he really doesn't actually lay down when he sleeps.
Awesome. I'm not sure I can say your name. Raja is wondering, how long have we had giraffes at the zoo? And I believe we got them in 2007. Nope. Somewhere between 2003 and 2007.
I think it was 2006, according to your blog post, because I was reading your blog last night.
Thanks, Jake, for knowing what I write.
I got you.
Oh man, let's see. Barbara's wondering, how old is Congo? You said earlier he's 16 and Nasha is 6.
Yeah, and she just turned 6 last month.
Happy birthday, Nasha.
Let's see. Laura, we don't have any plans at this point to do a feeding for all of our guests. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to start back our Backstage Pass program. Let's see.
What do you think, big guy?
Are you different from this side of the exhibit?
They're just really examining us and also looking for snacks. Laura asked, how long are their tongues? Try to see.
So MJ mentioned a little bit earlier that a good rule of tongue is for every foot that a giraffe is tall, that's how long in inches their tongue is. So Congo is 17 feet tall, which means he has about a 17-inch tongue. And they max out right around 18 inches.
Yeah, MJ, could we try and feed someone a treat so we can maybe get a good shot of that tongue? Don't fall, though.
Good advice there, girl.
You know, trying to help. There we
I was
go.
like, let me put it out as little as
There we
possible
go.
because I know you're looking. That's so funny.
I did say they're browsers. They will eat the grass. This is like, as you can notice, this is all trimmed. And then behind us, what they can't reach, and they need to get a weed whacker out here is what basically I'm saying.
What we're learning here.
So they do eat some grass. It's not the main part of their diet, but they'll nibble on it.
Let's see. Our friend Lexi asked, what is their favorite food, MJ?
It is gonna be, I already fed him, it's these things. It's the honey locust pods that I fed him a couple at the beginning. And that's definitely gonna be their favorite. And we have multiple honey locust trees all over on our premises that we actually will collect. They typically fall around the fall time. And we have literal tubs of them in our giraffe quarantines for training throughout the year.
Literal tubs. Let's see. Question about whether or not the giraffes can get the coronavirus, which I haven't thought about. I don't know if that's something on your mind, MJ.
Yeah, no, as far as we've heard, that no. But it's never a bad thing to be too overcautious, which is exactly why I'm wearing my mask and my gloves. We do work with a couple other animals that we know have been known to get corona, such as like hogs and pigs and whatnot. So definitely just as an overall blanket safety, we just wear PPE, whichever animals we're working with.
That makes sense.
Good practice. Let's see. Claire, we have 2 giraffes. You're looking at both of them now. Congo is closest to me and Nasha is in the back. MJ, Jessica is wondering, how long is their gestation period?
Ooh, that's a very good question. So giraffes are actually pregnant for 15 months. So
long.
It's a long time. And fun fact about pregnancy, more delivery actually, they give birth standing up. So that's a 6-foot drop into the world for those babies. So if that doesn't knock the placenta out of your lungs, I don't know what will.
That's abrupt for sure. Because there's lichen on your back. I'm just brushing that
There's
off.
what?
Just some lichen on you.
Ew.
It took a lichen to you.
Juliet, age 3, wants to know, how fast can they run?
Ooh. It's a good question. So they can probably get up to around like 20, 30 miles per hour. It's not the most majestic run. It's a little clompy. The biggest thing is if everyone like sees horses or cows or stuff like that, you'll notice when they walk, they do alternating feet. Giraffes are so tall that they have to walk with the same side. Otherwise, they'll trip themselves. So their gait looks a little funky.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I hope you guys are hearing this chomping sound right now. I don't know if my camera's picking up on it.
Okay, it's the last one. It's all done. She's got to check. She has to know she's done.
That's fair.
Fair, Nasha. Let's see. How many baby giraffes have been born here? You mentioned it earlier, but remind me, MJ.
Yeah, no problem. We have had 5 calves born here.
Awesome. And I saw a question, let's see, just a little while ago. How many calves do they have at once?
On average, it's typically 1. There's been surprise twins like every once in a while, but pretty much 1 every single time.
Which makes sense for how big they are when they're born, right?
Yes. They are about 150 pounds and 6 feet tall.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
How many babies can a mother have over her lifetime? I mean, I think I read your question wrong the first time. Sorry.
Gosh, you guys can make MJ do some math. So, a giraffe calf will typically spend about a year and a half with mom. They're not typically ready to start reproducing until, what do you think, Nash? 5 or 6? Probably about that. So I would say 10 years. So maybe we'll say 5 to 6 calves on average for a female giraffe in the wild.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And you'll notice too, since you just did that, actually, obviously they've stripped it very well.
Very well. Very
not only
clean.
do they eat leaves, they'll strip the bark too.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tasty.
Very yum.
Yeah.
Gotta get that extra fiber in.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to stay regular every day. Hi, Congo.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to catch up on questions. I want to make sure I get everyone's. Let's see. What is their average height?
Their average height, so it depends between male and female. So these two are pretty much, average male height is probably around 16, 17 feet. I think the tallest we've known is 19 feet, and this is the tallest species of giraffe. And then females tend to range between 14 and 15.
You mentioned this earlier, MJ, but Elizabeth's wondering what is that bump in the middle of their heads? And let's talk about this bump on him.
That's a very good question. So this is all calcification. So his head alone weighs 75 pounds.
Wow.
So when 2 males fight, it is called necking, and they will literally take their 2 necks and swing them into each other, and that's how they're going to assert dominance. And so the bigger the bumps, that means the more protected their skull is, and the most likely they're going to do better as far as when they're fighting for territory and for females.
Mm-hmm. And then you mentioned earlier that the 2 antler-looking things are called ossicones.
Yeah.
And those are also used for that, right?
Yes, exactly. And besides giraffe, okapi are going to be the only other things with ossicones.
We love okapi here.
We should do an okapi live next at some point.
We should.
I'm down.
Let's see. And what other animals are related to giraffes? Chris, that's a good question.
Oh, yeah. So that is going to be, once again, okapi. In the Giraffidae family, it is just going to be giraffe and okapi. But these guys belong to the even-toed ungulate group, which I'm pretty sure is Artiodactyl.
Woohoo!
Maybe.
Vocab word today.
I'm not always the best at pronouncing.
Pam's asking, when will these 2 breed?
So, we've actually seen successful breeding, so definitely keep your fingers crossed that we've got a baby in there. Since they are pregnant for so long, we're not at that point yet where we could really accurately judge to see if she is pregnant or not. So fingers crossed, we're hoping they're breeding right now.
Mm-hmm. Corinne, I'm sorry it's difficult to hear us with the masks, but we're doing our best with what we got right now. Elizabeth's wondering, how well can they smell?
Honestly, I think pretty well. Congo. He really likes the smell of a smoker. So if you ever come on a backstage pass with us, eventually we can do those again. If you have ever smoked, he will be all over you. He loves that smell. And sometimes, honestly, instead of just getting a treat, he'll go for a sniff.
Yeah, when we first came up here, he was like, let me sniff all of you immediately.
Yeah, so they definitely have a good sense of smell.
I'm not sure. I'm so sorry about your name, Raga. I don't know how many giraffes we had in 2006, but I can look it up for you at some point. Let's see.
Congo is like protective of the browse, but he's not actually eating it
I know, it's very strange. I don't understand your strategy, Congo.
He's more like, these are my guests.
Right, that makes sense.
He's very starved for guests. He is very excited for everyone to come back, for sure.
Rena, that's a good question. MJ, do these guys eat bamboo?
They do. So actually, that's a very good question. Bamboo is the only thing we have that still has leaves in the wintertime. So they'll actually get about 3 feedings of bamboo in winter. And then kind of once we start to go into early spring, honeysuckle comes out, and that's the first browse. And then it just is kind of all browse crazy from there. So wintertime, they do eat bamboo.
Stephanie's wondering, can you clean a giraffe or do they clean themselves? What is their hygiene like?
So we use the rain.
The rain is the tallest shower, after all.
Yes, thank you, Mother Nature. Sometimes he will get a little bit of crusties on his tail. We do have the ability to wash his tail. He's old, he's an old man, so he needs a little help sometimes with that tail end. So we'll give that a bath. But that's about it. Otherwise, if it's a nice rainy day and the weather's good, they can, by all means, get some shower time.
By and large, like most of the animals at the zoo bathe and clean themselves. Like we as keepers don't really do a lot to like make sure that they're spick and span, because wild animals aren't spick and span. It's nice to have your dog that's like licking your face and sitting on your bed to be cleaner than most other animals, but MJ's not like hugging giraffes all day, so she doesn't really care if he smells like a giraffe.
Oh yeah. He has a distinct smell. He's a boy. That is for sure.
Hi, Congo. Are you trying to reach that?
I just saw a question from Jenny pop in my DMs about, didn't we used to have 2 more giraffes? And you're totally right. We have had more giraffes in the past. We had a female Margarita who passed away last year or the year before. I don't remember exactly.
I think it was last July.
Last July? Okay. And then her calves have all gone on to other institutions. So, you know, we do whatever is recommended by the species survival plan. I don't know if that means they go somewhere else. They go somewhere else.
Which I can actually explain that if you
Yeah.
So with giraffes, kind of how their social grouping works. So say we have a female calf born. If that female calf stays, eventually she's going to breed with dad, which is we don't really want that. If we have a male calf born, eventually he's going to try to out-competition dad. Once again, we don't want that. What we want to do is with SSPs, we want to make sure we have the most genetically valuable population across our captive population in North America. And giraffe, fun fact, get to about 10 feet once they're 2 years old. You cannot ship a giraffe when they're over 10 feet because the truck no longer fits under an overpass. So they actually usually tend to ship out around the time they would be leaving the herd in the wild.
That works out nice.
That's a good segue too, because I see a question from Emmy again. In the wild, how many giraffes would hang out together or be in a herd?
Oh, that's fun. Sorry, they're really weird. So typically you're kind of get around 30 to 40 is going to be your average tower size.
Wow.
Super weird with these guys. So like if you've heard of like the matriarch of an elephant herd, most host dog species, the herd is going to be comprised of females that are all related to each other and one male who's in charge and who's the breeder. Giraffe could care less. So if one herd is walking north and one's walking south and they happen to like mingle, some giraffe are like, you know what, I'm going to travel south today, I'm tired of headed north. And they'll just mix and match into their own genetic variability within their herd. So they're really one of the only ones that don't care who they spend their life with. They just kind of doodle daddle all over the African savannah.
Doodle daddle.
I have a lot of fun words, so.
I'm loving this. Ariel's wondering, why are their necks really long?
The biggest thing is because they're browsers, and they definitely, as she's showing you right now, they get all their diet and nutrients from the leaves they eat from trees. So the longer the neck, the more trees she's going to be able to eat. You're being sassy.
Hi, Congo.
Let's see. You mentioned earlier, MJ, that, so sorry. Are these guys ruminants or not? I feel like you mentioned it earlier, but maybe you didn't.
I didn't. I just said she was chewing cud. They are giant fancy cows. So they do have that 4-compartment stomach exactly like a cow. And so yes, they are ruminants, so that's why they're constantly eating, is to keep that gut going. Not bad.
Sometimes it's hard for me to remember what we talk about in this conversation versus the previous one.
That's very fair.
It all blurs together.
It all does. Jesse's wondering, do they have good eyesight?
Actually, yes. So as you can imagine, since they are so tall, they can definitely see a lot of good things. On the savannah near a watering hole, you'll actually see giraffes surrounded by gazelle, wildebeest, zebra, all the smaller antelope species. These guys are going to see the predator first. So if they start freaking out and running, it's a really key indicator for the other little guys to kind of hightail it out of it as well.
This cute close up.
A question from Mariah. Were these giraffes born in captivity? Yes, they were both born at other zoos. I think you said earlier that Congo's from LA. Mm-hmm. And where was Nasha from?
She is from Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. All over the country. Oh, that's a good question, Ewan. Ewan wants to know if they have teeth, because we've only seen their tongues.
Oh, very good question. So as you can see with Nasha right now, on the bottom, she has that bottom set of teeth. On the top, there's not a set of teeth. And that's very stereotypical for most ruminants, since they are just eating grasses and leaves and whatnot.
They have like very active lips that they use to like also pull things, right?
Yes, and they also like in the back they have a top and bottom set, so they can do the normal chewing. It's just like the front set is on the bottom.
It's just for like grabbing and pulling in.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's way cool.
They're built like lawnmowers. It is the best way to explain any hoof stock.
Oh my gosh.
Very tall lawnmower.
A very tall lawnmower.
Tree trimmers.
Yeah, right.
Piper, that is such a good question. Piper wants to know, can they understand us?
So they know their names for sure. Every morning I walk in and I'll be like, good morning, Congo, good morning, Nasha, and they're very good about walking over and saying hi. They know the words we use for training. So if I ask them for target, they know that, okay, I need to boot my nose to this stick. They're very good. He's very good at foot. Foot is what we ask when we ask him to pick up his leg. And we'll tap on his leg to indicate which foot we want him to pick up. So they understand, I think, the words associated with training behaviors, but if I had a full conversation with him, I think he'd be a little bit at a loss for words. That doesn't say that I don't talk to them all the time.
Right.
What are you doing? Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, yeah.
Ooh, Jake's tasty.
Yeah. He was like,
good for
is
you.
that leaf or your leg? Nothing exciting here.
He's been dealing with me for 3 months. So he's very excited for new people.
Any human contact.
Yeah.
MJ, how long would you say Congo's neck is compared to the rest of his body?
So I think it's pretty average that from their tail is 6 feet.
Okay.
And he's about 17. So 11 feet? Did I do that math right?
I think so.
Okay. Math wasn't my strong suit in school.
You got this. We've got it going on. Oh man. Let's see. Stella was wondering why Nasha was eating this stick earlier. She thought they just ate leaves. And you talked a little bit about that they like to eat bark. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So you can see she did a really good job at it. Bark has a lot of extra fiber that they'll need in their diet, and they really like the way they'll strip. I don't know if this is kind of hard, but they'll strip bark just like this. Mm-hmm. And this tastes really good. Nasha also is a famous stick twirler. So there's videos. I have to send you some so you can post on social media. But she will twirl sticks all day.
Yeah, with her tongue.
Yes.
She looks like a baton twirler,
Exactly.
legitimately.
She's got a lot of personality. For sure.
Good question, Sophie. Do you ever have to perform a medical procedure with these guys?
Yes. So that comes a lot with our bonding with them. So the more comfortable they are with their keepers, the more likely we're going to be able to do anything medical. We try with them, they're just so big, we try as much as we can to stay away from sedation exams. And that's why we try to build such a good working relationship with them, so that we can do simple tasks. So far, we've been pretty well. Don't do a brat. Of course, because I talk about it. He's like, okay, I gotta see the spotlight.
Right.
But yeah, so far if we've had any medical issue, we usually, we have a really good vet staff that can definitely help us kind of address it with any kind of medications we need to. And he's really good at taking all of his meds, so we never have that problem.
Yeah, and if you guys are good at searching, you can find a video I've posted in the past of a hoof trim with Congo, and I think we even have a video of a chiropractor visit for him.
Nice. I forgot about that.
So check those out.
So he did at one point have his own personal chiropractor that came probably about, gosh, it was either once a month or every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was every 2 weeks. And yeah, she would actually just go ahead and kind of work on the back of it, the very beginning of his back and a little bit of his neck. And she would be able to kind of pop those back into place. He loved it. He did really well with it too.
Love that pampered life, don't you, Congo?
But like slightly spoiled.
It's fine.
Nasha's pooping now.
Oh, I can't zoom in that far,
she's,
Jake.
She's really showing off a lot of natural behaviors for us, which is really cool.
Reagan wants to know why they have dots all over them.
Oh, there's actually a reason for that. So the hairs there are thinner. So where the dark hairs are, they're thinner there, very similar to a cheetah. And the reason why is it's really hot in Africa and it helps with thermal regulation. So since those hairs are thinner, sweat can get off their body quicker and they can cool down a lot faster. So it actually aids in keeping them cool. It's like a built-in AC system.
Wow, I never would have guessed that in a million years.
Yeah, most things with the stripes and the spots of the dark hair, it's for thermal regulation.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did see a question earlier that I don't think I addressed. What does their fur feel like?
A dirty horse.
A dirty horse.
is a good way of putting it. They feel honestly very similar to how a horse would feel. To be honest, we don't know super well because giraffes don't actually like being touched. If you notice the whiskers on the end of their muzzle and whatnot, they're sensitive like cat whiskers. So if you try to go in for a pet, they're usually gonna not say thank you for that.
Right. They like to touch you, not the other way around.
Exactly.
They're like, yeah, that's fair. All on their own terms.
Does the gray tint around the face indicate age like it does with some other animals?
Yeah, he's definitely our old man getting some gray whiskers up there.
So cute.
Let's see. That's a good question too, Piper. You're full of them today. Do birds ever land on them?
Not that I think I've ever seen. We have in the Africa field our eland. We have birds that follow our male eland around a lot, and they'll hang out in his shadow for cooling times. But I've never seen a bird land on our giraffe though.
That would be
a tall perch to land on.
Yeah.
It would be. All right. Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up for today, guys. Jake, we would be remiss if we did not talk about what
cute t-shirt I'm wearing today, right?
Yep.
I don't have a giraffe one, but I do have a tiger one, and tigers are orange and black and giraffes are kind of orange and black, so that's the correlation there. And you can actually get t-shirts just like this one on our online gift shop, and that's shop.nashvillezoo.org.
Yep.
So check that out. Help us out during this time, please.
I've got the link in our description for this video today if you don't want to type it, so we got you.
Even easier. Well, thanks everybody so much for joining us for Take a Break with Jake. Thanks to MJ and her amazing team for helping us out and letting us come see Congo and Nasha and our beautiful giraffe friends. Hi. Thank you. Oh, wow. Thank you. What a gift. We will see you later this week with some other things. Tomorrow we have Fern, our sloth's birthday party. That is on Facebook again at 11 a.m. And then Thursday, we're going to go see our Caribbean flamingo flock on exhibit and meet some of their keepers and talk to them about that. That'll be on Instagram at about 11 a.m. as well. So check back for those, and then you can see the replays later this week. Thanks so much for joining us today, everybody, and have a great day. See you soon.